Welcome to the debate. Imagine a tiny, debuting football nation stepping onto the pitch at the 2026 World Cup.
Right, a true David and Goliath scenario.
Exactly. They are facing off against a perennial giant like Brazil or France. Now, historically, that smaller team was hopelessly outgunned. And not just in raw talent, but in the sheer amount of information they had.
Oh, the information asymmetry was massive.
Completely massive. But what if they walked out of the tunnel armed with the exact same supercomputer, the exact same tactical analytics, and, the exact same algorithmic insights as the powerhouse they were playing against?
It changes the entire paradigm.
It really does. But the core question is, does handing everyone the exact same cutting-edge technology finally level the playing field? Or does it just prove that, a supercomputer can't actually run out there and score a goal?
And that is exactly the tension we are looking at today. Because this idea, the democratization of sports data, it isn't just a buzzword anymore. It's the new reality of global football.
Spot on.
But the real question we need to answer is whether this technology actually helps the underdog or if it secretly creates brand new, insurmountable inequalities between the elite teams and the smaller ones.
I love how you framed that. Today, we are diving deep into the rapidly accelerating integration of artificial intelligence in elite football, and we are grounding this entire discussion in what's happening right now with FIFA's sweeping partnership with Lenovo for the 2026 World Cup.
Yeah, it's a massive rollout.
It is. We're looking at the deployment of what they call Football AI Pro to all 48 teams, plus we're examining the pioneering work by Google DeepMind and Liverpool FC on systems like Tactic AI.
Which is fascinating stuff.
It really is. Now, my position today is pretty straightforward. I argue that these platforms effectively democratize the sport. They are offering smaller teams the elite-level insights that used to cost literally tens of millions of dollars to acquire.
And I take the opposing view. Because while access to a dashboard might be nominally democratized, the deep institutional infrastructure, the coaching culture, and the specialized expertise required to actually execute on that data, that remains deeply concentrated at the top.
You think the rich just get richer?
I do. I believe this dynamic fundamentally widens the gap between the elite powers and everyone else.
Well, let's lay out exactly why generative AI acts as this ultimate equalizer. For the 2026 World Cup, FIFA isn't just handing out a spreadsheet of basic passing stats. That's the old way.
Right. It's not just possession percentages anymore.
Exactly. Football AI Pro is actively analyzing hundreds of millions of football-specific data points. And it's not just doing math in the dark. It's taking tracking data like player velocity, spatial positioning, pass trajectories, and translating all of it into validated insights.
But data is just data until someone reads it.
But that's the genius of it. It spits these insights out as text, as video compilations, and even 3D visualizations across multiple languages. Historically, wealth dictated success because wealth bought the best scouts and the biggest data science departments.
True.
I look at this through the lens of the 2003 Oakland Athletics in baseball.
The famous Moneyball effect.
Precisely. They used empirical analysis to outsmart richer competitors who were frankly still relying on human intuition. What FIFA is doing is bringing that exact Moneyball effect to every single debuting and smaller football nation.
I see the parallel you're drawing.
By handing them the analytical capability to find market inefficiencies, say, noticing that an opponent's left flank is incredibly vulnerable to overlapping runs during defensive transitions, FIFA is neutralizing the historical financial advantage of the established hierarchy.
I genuinely understand the appeal of that narrative. I really do. But equal access to data is a complete illusion of democratization.
An illusion? That's a strong word.
It is, but I stand by it. Look, handing every team the same software license does not grant them the same capability to win a football match.
Universes are born and die at the snap of his fingers of shadow. The multiverse is nothing but dust, molded by his sovereign will. Beneath his titanic silhouette, subverses collapse, and entire realities bow to the true and absolute ruler of the cosmos. For the creature that holds the infinite in the palm of its hand, eternity itself is merely a fleeting breath. Colossal dimensions are mere toys in the immensity of his domain. He does not merely observe existence, he possesses it completely. Available now on Amazon Books.
Match. The source material we're working from offers a very explicit warning about this.
Go on.
It states that federations with stronger analyst benches, clearer decision-making routines, and deep-rooted experience in integrating data into their coaching workflows will inevitably extract exponentially more value from Football AI Pro.
But the AI does the heavy lifting now.
It processes the data, yes, but we have to recognize that true competitive advantage no longer lies in merely possessing the data. It lies in the institutional capacity to process, interpret, and physically act upon it. And that inherently favors established football powers who have spent the last decade building that exact corporate capacity.
I see why you think that, but let me give you a slightly different perspective on those analyst benches you mentioned.
Sure.
The fundamental shift with generative AI is that it actually replaces the need for massive, specialized human analyst teams. That is the exact bottleneck Football AI Pro is designed to solve. It acts as an analyst in a box.
An analyst in a box? Okay.
Think about it. Before, a smaller federation might get their hands on raw data, but they had no way to translate it into a game plan without a team of PhDs. Now, the AI takes a highly complex dataset and instantly translates it into a simple video compilation with multi-language text prompts.
You're saying it skips the processing phase.
You skip the heavy processing phase entirely. You go from raw data directly to a practical, implementable recommendation.
Moving to a recommendation isn't the same as embedding a philosophy, though.
Let me just finish the thought, because the real-world application here is striking. Look at the recent AFCON and Asia Cup tournaments. We saw some incredibly talented national teams struggle, not for a lack of individual skill, but because they couldn't find the right player combinations.
Yeah. National teams are notoriously disjointed.
Exactly. National teams are inherently difficult to manage. You are taking players who don't normally play together, who come from wildly different club cultures, and you're trying to force them into a cohesive unit in 3 weeks.
It's a huge challenge.
Historically, teams relied on a manager's gut feeling to guess at this chemistry. Now, AI solves this objective scouting problem instantly.
Wait, how exactly does a machine solve human chemistry?
By mapping overlapping spatial heat maps and analyzing pressure resistance metrics. Instead of just looking at goals scored, the AI looks at passing networks, preferred receiving angles, and movement tendencies.
So it's looking for geometric compatibility.
Yes, it mathematically identifies players from completely different leagues who naturally share complementary spatial behaviors. It puts the puzzle pieces together for the coach. That completely levels the strategic baseline.
I'm sorry, but I just don't buy that. Let me tell you why. You are treating AI as a finished product that is just passively consumed by end users.
It is a product, though. FIFA is distributing it.
But if we look at Google DeepMind's Tactic AI, which, remember, was developed in direct collaboration with Liverpool FC, we see the true dynamic at play. Elite clubs aren't just reading AI outputs on a tablet, they are actively co-developing the foundational models themselves.
Okay, but they are sharing the fruits of that labor.
Are they? Tactic AI didn't just fall out of the sky, it utilized extensive data analysis of over 7,000 corner kicks, specifically from the English Premier League. It uses geometric deep learning, treating players as nodes on a graph, to simulate how millimeter adjustments in positioning alter scoring probabilities.
Which just proves the technology's effectiveness in optimizing strategy.
It proves its effectiveness for those who build it. Clubs with deep pockets, particularly those like Arsenal and Manchester City, who have American ownership groups intimately familiar with advanced analytics, are culturally rewired for this.
So you're saying it's a cultural divide?
Absolutely. They don't just look at a video output. Their entire training methodology, from the academy level up, is built around algorithmic probability. Arsene Wenger himself hit the nail on the head in the text.
What did he say? He noted that in 10 to 15 years, it will be management specialists rather than traditional football specialists running clubs, because the football decisions will be dictated by technology. That's a bold claim.
But it's happening. That corporate management shift entirely alienates smaller traditional clubs that lack a tech-forward infrastructure. An elite club integrates AI into its DNA. A smaller team just looks at a dashboard. The ceiling for how you apply the technology is determined by your pre-existing infrastructure.
That's a really interesting point, though I would frame it differently. You're focusing heavily on pre-match preparation and the long-term corporate structuring of a club.
Because that's where championships are won.
But let's look at the actual 90 minutes of football. Even if a massive European club has a better corporate boardroom on a Tuesday, what happens on a Saturday at minute 75? You mean in-game adjustments.
Exactly. Because I would argue that AI provides a disproportionate boost to smaller nations during live decision-making. Think of it this way. If both a novice and a grandmaster are given a supercomputer to suggest their next chess move, the novice benefits far more because their baseline is lower.
That makes sense in theory, yeah.
The grandmaster is already playing near optimal levels. The AI just confirms what they already suspected. But for the novice, the supercomputer entirely elevates their game.
A football match is vastly more chaotic than a chessboard, though. You can't just pause the game for 5 minutes to compute a move.
True, it's fluid, but the mechanism of elevation is identical. During the game, these systems are ingesting real-time data to suggest tactical adjustments on the fly.
Right. We are talking about getting immediate notifications regarding a player's potential performance degradation. A wealthy nation historically had an army of analysts up in the stadium rafters radioing down to the bench.
And an earpiece in the manager's ear, yeah.
A smaller nation couldn't afford that. Now, the AI does it for them, instantly. Furthermore, consider the translation tools built into Football AI Pro.
The multilingual aspect.
Yes, if you have a multicultural squad, clear communication is everything. AI translation tools are actively preventing misunderstandings during frantic sideline adjustments. That is a massive, immediate, baseline lift for smaller federations right when they need it most.
That's a compelling argument, but have you considered how the sheer volume of real-time data actually exacerbates those existing hierarchies?
How so? The data is the same for both.
If you're listening to this and wondering why a small team can't just use the data the same way, let's take your own example of the fatigue notification. Let's say the AI flags that a smaller team's central midfielder has suffered a 14% drop in explosive sprint capacity.
Okay, a clear red flag.
Right. That indicates an impending injury or a major defensive liability. Sounds incredibly useful to know, right? But what happens next?
The manager makes an adjustment.
But how? Elite teams have deeply integrated medical staffs on the bench, and most importantly, they have elite depth. When a team like France gets that notification, they simply pull the exhausted player and seamlessly substitute a world-class replacement.
They adjust the formation.
Exactly, adjusting without skipping a beat. But if a smaller team receives that exact same notification, what does it actually mean for them? They don't have a $50 million substitute waiting in a bib.
Well, no, of course not.
Their tactical flexibility is likely entirely dependent on that single, exhausted midfielder staying on the pitch. The application gap makes the data functionally moot.
Moot is a bit harsh.
Think of it this way. You are equipping a wooden rowboat with advanced military sonar. It can see the rocks perfectly, but it still doesn't have the engine power to turn in time to avoid them.
I love the rowboat analogy, but I'm not convinced by that line of reasoning. Because you're assuming the only utility of AI is telling you who to substitute.
What else is a fatigue warning for?
AI provides actionable micro adjustments that don't require a world-class bench. Instead of saying, substitute this player, the AI can simulate a tactical shift, like suggesting the manager drop the defensive line exactly 5 yards to reduce the sprint requirement on that fatiguing midfielder.
So, systemic adjustments rather than personnel.
Yes. It solves the problem tactically rather than personnel-wise. But let's step back from team tactics for a second. Even if we assume elite teams have a deeper bench to execute those shifts, everyone still has to play by the rules.
That is true.
And historically, human referees have been swayed by the pressure of massive clubs. That's where AI steps in to govern the sport itself, and I contend that it fiercely protects smaller teams by enforcing strict mathematical fairness.
You're bringing in the refereeing technology here.
Absolutely. We know human bias in officiating implicitly favors big teams in crucial moments. It's a well-documented psychological phenomenon. 80,000 screaming fans at a massive stadium will inevitably influence a human referee on a tight call.
It's just human nature.
But look at the 2026 World Cup infrastructure. We have the official Try-On-to ball. This isn't just a piece of lever. It has an inertial measurement unit, or IMU, suspended perfectly in its center, recording the ball's movement 500 times per second.
Which feeds into the semi-automated offside technology.
Yes, exactly. And if you're wondering how this actually works on the pitch, that 500 hertz sensor syncs up with 12 dedicated optical tracking cameras spaced around the stadium roof.
It's an incredible setup.
It is. They track 29 individual data points on every single player's body. Their knees, their shoulders, their toes, at 50 frames per second. The system merges the exact millisecond the ball is kicked with this incredibly precise skeletal tracking to instantly generate a 3D avatar.
Right, removing the manual line drawing.
It completely removes the human error of a VAR referee trying to manually align a blurry broadcast frame. And it's verified centrally by the International Broadcast Center in Dallas and the Technology Command Center in Miami.
So it's remote verification.
Yes. For an underdog playing a heavily favored giant, this system guarantees an objectively fair match. A tight offside call that might have historically gone to the established power because of human hesitation is now a geometric certainty. The AI strips away the institutional bias.
I come at it from a completely different way. I will readily acknowledge the technical marvel of the Trionda ball. A 500 hertz sensor synchronized with skeletal tracking is an astonishing piece of engineering.
It really is.
And the AI-stabilized referee body cameras provide a brilliant perspective, but we cannot separate the technology from its governance. The source material explicitly raises concerns about public trust and accountability here.
How so? The data is the data.
If you're listening and thinking, well, the computer is fair, you have to consider who programmed the computer. What happens when a high-stakes moderation or offside decision in a World Cup final is shaped by an opaque AI system?
But it isn't opaque. That is the entire point of generating the 3D player avatars for the broadcast. They don't just say offside and move on.
They show the rendering.
Exactly. They show the fans, the coaches, and the players the exact geometry of the decision. It makes the reasoning perfectly transparent to follow.
It visualizes the final output, yes, but it obscures the algorithmic process that generated it. Look, when the entire legitimacy of the sport relies on what the source text calls a massive, centralized, shared digital layer, you create a new problem.
Which is?
A paradigm where smaller federations are entirely dependent on systems they neither control, audit, nor fully understand. Let's talk about IPTV, Internet Protocol Television, which is how these matches are streamed directly to millions of fans globally.
Okay.
When you embed AI across broadcast operations, IPTV video delivery, and day-to-day tournament officiating, you are centralizing immense power. If a sensor glitches, or if the AI's training data has an inherent bias regarding a certain type of player movement, the smaller federation has zero recourse.
They can appeal.
To who? They don't own the servers in Dallas or Miami. They can't check the code. They are subjected to the technology, not empowered by it.
I hear your concern. I do. But frankly, accountability in a centralized digital system is infinitely easier to enforce than accountability across hundreds of individual, highly subjective human referees.
Is it though?
Absolutely. The digital layer you're describing is subject to rigorous universal standards. Before the tournament even begins, every player is digitally scanned. The system knows their exact biomechanics. If there is a dispute, the data trail is absolute.
But who audits the trail?
The federations can. You can literally reconstruct the entire sequence of events in a pristine 3D environment and audit it frame by frame. You are arguing that relying on technology disenfranchises smaller teams, but I would argue that relying on flawed, easily pressured human perception is what historically kept them down.
I see your point on human error.
Right. By moving to a mathematically verifiable system, FIFA is actively shielding the vulnerable teams from the institutional sway of the powerful ones.
But if I can push back on that, mathematical verifiability requires trust in the mathematician. And when the mathematician is a proprietary AI model built by massive corporate partners, that trust requires a pretty huge leap of faith.
It's a vetted system, though.
Our source material notes that these systems are no longer just for analysis. They are the fundamental operating infrastructure of the tournament. You are standardizing the entire experience of football through a very specific corporate lens.
I think corporate lens is a bit cynical.
Maybe, but it's realistic. And while it may give a smaller team a beautifully rendered 3D replay of exactly why they lost, it doesn't change the underlying reality. The established powers, the ones who culturally understand, co-develop, and heavily invest in these models, are operating on a totally different level of comprehension.
That's a fair critique, but let me offer one last perspective on that idea of comprehension. You're assuming that because elite clubs helped pioneer these models today, they will forever hold a monopoly on understanding them.
History says they usually do.
But technology inherently commoditizes over time. What Liverpool and Google DeepMind are doing right now with Tactic AI to optimize corner kicks is groundbreaking. It's genius.
Right.
But in 5 years, the fundamental insights from that model, the specific spatial relationships, the predictive zoning, all of that will just be basic integrated features in the off-the-shelf software provided to everyone.
You think it trickles down that fast?
Faster. The cutting-edge frontier of today always becomes the boring baseline of tomorrow. By providing Football AI Pro to all 48 teams right now, FIFA is artificially accelerating that commoditization. They are taking what took Premier League clubs a decade and hundreds of millions of dollars to learn and handing it to debuting nations on day one.
But the frontier keeps moving. That is the defining nature of advanced analytics.
It moves, but the floor is raised.
By the time a smaller federation finally masters the interface of Football AI Pro to perfectly optimize their corner kicks, the elite clubs won't be looking at corner kicks anymore. They will have moved on to predictive biomechanical modeling for injury prevention or generative tactical AI that adjusts dynamically based on the opponent's real-time heart rate metrics.
There are physical limits, though.
The pursuit of optimization is infinite. Giving everyone the same starting line today simply doesn't matter if the elite teams are running in sports cars and the smaller teams are on foot. The institutional capacity to learn and adapt, the massive corporate infrastructure we discussed earlier, is the engine.
And the data?
Data is just the fuel. If your engine is small, pouring an ocean of premium fuel into it doesn't make it go faster. It just floods the system.
I love the passion, but I'm still not swayed. Because that assumes human athletic performance scales infinitely alongside the computer. And it doesn't. We hit a physical plateau.
Players are getting faster, though.
Marginally. But there is a hard physical limit to how much a tactical adjustment can actually yield on a grass pitch. The game is still ultimately played by human beings kicking a ball. If AI brings a smaller team's tactical efficiency from, say, 50% to 90%, and the elite team only goes from 90% to 95%, the gap is fundamentally narrowed.
You're relying on diminishing returns at the top end.
Exactly. The AI strips away the most significant financial barriers to elite scouting, tactical planning, and fair officiating. It allows a brilliant manager in a financially constrained federation to punch vastly above their weight class because they no longer have to guess at the chemistry or the tactics. They have the mathematical proof right in front of them. It is an unprecedented equalizer.
And I maintain that while the tools are undeniably becoming universal, the institutional capacity to leverage them remains deeply, stubbornly unequal. Equal access to a dashboard does not equal the capacity to execute.
We will have to see it in action.
We will. Will AI raise the floor of global football? Absolutely. It will make smaller teams more organized, and it will likely make matches more tactical. But it will also raise the ceiling for the elite, optimizing their dominance by allowing them to ruthlessly exploit the tiniest margins with their vastly superior resources, their world-class bench depth, and their deeply integrated corporate structures.
Well, regardless of where we stand on who benefits most, I think where we absolutely converge today is recognizing just how deeply embedded this technology has become.
Oh, there's no going back.
Exactly. We are both in total agreement that AI is no longer a fun novelty sitting at the edges of the sport. It isn't just an experimental broadcast feature. It is now the fundamental operating infrastructure of modern football.
From top to bottom.
From the try-on-to-ball tracking motion 500 times a second to ensure a perfectly fair call, to generative AI mathematically mapping out corner kick geometry, this technology has permanently altered how matches are managed, played, and officiated.
Completely agreed. The 2026 World Cup is going to be a watershed moment for the sport. It is going to force sports organizations and, frankly, large enterprises way beyond the world of sports to confront what happens when AI actively influences live, high-stakes decisions and shapes public trust on a global scale.
Navigating this requires real intellectual charity from all of us. The complexities of technological advancement in sports aren't binary and they aren't simple.
No, they certainly aren't.
They require us to look past the flashy marketing and examine the actual granular mechanisms of implementation. As fans, as analysts, and as observers, we have to closely watch how these tools actually deploy on the pitch in 2026. Only then will we truly understand their final impact on the competitive balance of the beautiful game.
Exactly. We have to see how the mathematical theory survives the muddy reality of a 90-minute match.
We started today by talking about the ocean. The map is now freely available to everyone. The GPS coordinates are beamed down from the exact same satellites, offering the exact same crystal clear view of the water to every single captain.
But it's about the boats.
Right. As the tournament unfolds, we are about to find out who actually owns the ships capable of weathering the storm. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to exploring the next great complex issue with you.